When the winter grid fails and temperatures plummet inside your living space, the instinct to panic and flee to the highway is not just incorrect, it is statistically dangerous. Fleeing into a freezing, unpredictable environment abandons your greatest asset: shelter. Today, we are using mathematics and behavioral science to build a micro-resilience system right here in your apartment, without breaking the bank or violating your lease. Let us examine the thermal physics of your standard urban dwelling. Consider a typical 800-square-foot apartment with 8-foot ceilings. This environment contains 6,400 cubic feet of ambient airspace. During normal operations, your building's HVAC system continuously forces tens of thousands of British thermal units, or BTUs, into this space to counteract the persistent thermal bleed through your walls, floors, and windows. When a severe winter storm disrupts the municipal power grid, that mechanical heat generation drops to zero. At this exact moment, the fundamental laws of thermodynamics take over. Heat energy always transfers from warmer areas to colder areas until equilibrium is reached. Your apartment's ability to resist this transfer is measured by its thermal resistance, commonly known as its R value. While a heavily insulated exterior wall might offer an R value of 13 to 20, standard double-pane glass windows provide a notoriously weak thermal barrier, often equating to an R value of merely 2. As a result, the residual heat trapped in your 6,400 cubic feet of ambient air will rapidly and aggressively hemorrhage through these structural weak points. Without continuous power, indoor temperatures can plummet to freezing within 12 to 48 hours, depending on the severity of the exterior microclimate. The standard, untrained behavioral response is to attempt to heat that entire volume of the apartment. This is a profound mathematical error. To maintain an ambient temperature of 68 degrees Fahrenheit across 6,400 cubic feet of air against constant thermal loss requires a massive, continuous energy source. Desperate individuals frequently attempt to solve this deficit by utilizing unvented propane heaters, charcoal grills, or improvised open flames inside their living spaces. In an enclosed urban environment, this is a lethal miscalculation. Combustion rapidly consumes ambient oxygen and off-gasses carbon monoxide, an invisible, odorless threat. By attempting to heat the macro environment, you immediately transition your risk profile from a manageable thermal challenge to an acute respiratory crisis. We must strictly eliminate any open flame or combustion-based solutions from our operational continuity plan. Furthermore, modifying your apartment to run exhaust pipes out of windows violates nearly all standard lease agreements and inevitably destroys whatever residual draft ceiling your unit possesses. Instead, we must analyze the problem through the lens of applied biophysics. As outlined in emergency protocols from the Department of Defense and reinforced by FEMA's extreme cold weather guidelines, your objective during a grid-down scenario is never to heat the building. Your sole logistical priority is to maintain your core body temperature at 98.6 degrees Fahrenheit. The human body functions as a continuous biological radiator. An average adult, even when resting quietly, continuously generates approximately 350 to 400 BTUs of heat energy per hour. In a large, unheated room, this valuable energy dissipates instantly into the vast, freezing ambient air through 3 primary mechanisms: conduction, losing heat to a cold mattress; convection, ambient cold air currents stripping heat away from the skin; and radiation, emitting infrared thermal energy into the unheated void of the room. It is mathematically impossible for a single 400 BTU biological engine to successfully warm 6,400 cubic feet of space. However, if we strategically constrain the volume of the surrounding airspace, that steady 400 BTU output becomes remarkably efficient. By drastically reducing the cubic footage immediately surrounding your resting body, we can scientifically capture, retain, and recirculate your basal metabolic heat. We are transitioning our strategy from attempting to alter the apartment's macroclimate to engineering a highly controlled, tightly measured thermal envelope.
Let us apply spatial geometry to your sleeping quarters to quantify this shift in thermodynamics. We must first define the parameters of our constrained volume. A standard queen-sized mattress measures roughly 5 feet by 6.5 feet. If we construct our thermal envelope to suspend exactly 3 feet above the mattress surface, we effectively reduce the ambient airspace from our original 6,400 cubic feet down to approximately 97.5 cubic feet. This is a dramatic volumetric reduction of over 98%. Within this highly restricted microenvironment, your 400 BTU per hour basal metabolic output suddenly transforms from a negligible heat source into a highly concentrated thermal engine. You are now heating the equivalent of a small closet, rather than a full residential floor plan. To engineer this envelope, we require materials that manipulate the 3 forms of heat transfer: conduction, convection, and radiation, while keeping the total operational budget strictly under $30. We will utilize standard 550 paracord for structural tensioning, heavy-duty binder clips to protect your security deposit, 2 to 3 highly reflective aluminized Mylar survival blankets, and standard household quilts. The total procurement cost for these items is roughly $15 to $20, entirely bypassing the dangerous requirement for expensive, heavily marketed tactical survival gear. We are prioritizing applied physics over commercial panic. The core element of our microclimate is the aluminized Mylar blanket, a material originally developed for orbital thermal control. It is vital to understand its precise biophysics to avoid deployment errors. Mylar possesses an R value approaching 0. Therefore, it is practically useless for stopping convective or conductive heat transfer. However, it excels at mitigating radiant heat loss. When your body emits thermal energy in the infrared spectrum, the highly reflective surface bounces up to 90% of that radiant heat back toward the biological source. If deployed incorrectly, such as wrapping the sheet tightly against your skin, conductive heat loss to the cold plastic will instantly neutralize its benefits. Mylar must always be deployed as a radiant barrier, separated by a distinct air gap. We begin assembly by establishing our structural framework. Before stringing the paracord, we must conduct a brief visual audit of the apartment, applying the gray man philosophy to our interior logistics. If your bedroom windows face a public street or a neighboring complex, ensure your blackout curtains are fully drawn. In a prolonged grid-down scenario, an improvised Mylar tent illuminated by an internal flashlight creates a highly visible, reflective anomaly. This signature signals to unprepared neighbors that you possess emergency supplies. Maintaining strict visual operational security is just as vital as maintaining your thermal security. Once visually secured, utilize the architectural features of your bedroom, such as window curtain rod brackets or the upper hinges of a solid closet door, to string our 550 paracord in a parallel pattern directly above the bed. By utilizing tension lines rather than invasive nails, we maintain strict adherence to standard lease agreements. The paracord lines should be pulled taut, suspended approximately 3 feet above the sleeping surface to allow adequate clearance, while purposefully minimizing the cubic volume of the trapped air column. Next, we construct the primary radiant barrier. Carefully drape the Mylar blankets over the paracord suspension lines. The highly reflective, metallic side must face downward, pointing directly toward the mattress to intercept your infrared energy. Because Mylar is notoriously fragile under structural stress, do not puncture it. Instead, gently secure the overlapping edges to the paracord using your binder clips. Create a continuous, reflective dome that covers the entire footprint of the mattress, allowing the edges of the Mylar to drape down the sides, effectively walling off the 97.5 cubic feet of internal airspace.
As established in our analysis, Mylar alone is insufficient. It reflects radiant energy, but allows convective heat to escape straight through the thin plastic film into the freezing room. To arrest this convective thermal bleed, we must deploy a secondary insulation layer. Carefully drape your standard household blankets or unzipped sleeping bags directly over the exterior of the Mylar canopy. The inner Mylar reflects your biological infrared heat back down into the microclimate, while the heavy outer blankets provide the necessary R value to trap the warmed air, creating a dense, dead air space that insulates the envelope from the freezing macroclimate of the larger apartment. The final vector for thermal loss is conductive heat transfer down into the floor slab. Fortunately, your standard residential mattress is an exceptional insulator, comprised of dense foam and trapped air pockets. It acts as a massive thermal break between your body and the freezing structural slab. Ensure that the draping edges of your Mylar and blanket canopy tuck securely between the mattress and the bed frame. This creates a functional mechanical seal, locking the warmed ambient air inside the envelope and preventing freezing convective drafts from sweeping across the floor and infiltrating your microclimate. Through this deliberate process, we have solved the primary thermal equation of the urban winter blackout. Your baseline metabolic output is now continually captured, reflected, and insulated. Within hours of occupying this microclimate, the internal temperature will safely stabilize, keeping you functionally warm. This entire system requires zero electricity, demands no structural modifications, and bypasses the lethal risks of indoor combustion. However, by sealing this environment so effectively, we introduce a new secondary constraint dictated by respiratory physics, which must be actively managed to ensure long-term operational continuity. We have successfully trapped your biological thermal output, but by sealing this environment so effectively, we introduce a critical new variable dictated by respiratory physics. We must now actively manage condensation to ensure your operational continuity. Every time you exhale, you are not merely expelling carbon dioxide. You are expelling a significant volume of moisture. An average adult exhales approximately 400 milliliters of water vapor during a standard 8-hour sleep cycle. Within the strictly confined 97.5 cubic feet of your microclimate, this moisture rapidly drives up the relative humidity. As this warm, highly saturated air makes contact with the interior surface of your Mylar canopy, which is continually chilled by the freezing ambient macroclimate of your apartment, the vapor inevitably reaches its dew point. It undergoes a rapid phase change, condensing from an invisible gas into heavy, liquid water droplets that cling to the ceiling of your structure. If left unmanaged, this condensation will eventually accumulate, pool, and drip directly back onto your secondary insulation layer. In applied thermodynamics, moisture is the absolute enemy of heat retention. Liquid water conducts heat approximately 25 times faster than static air. If your outer blankets or sleeping bags become damp, their structural R value will aggressively collapse. This drastically accelerates conductive heat loss and vastly increases your risk of indoor hypothermia. Furthermore, Trapping damp, stagnant air inside a dark, confined space over a multi-day blackout creates a highly favorable environment for bacterial growth, rapidly converting your thermal solution into a severe respiratory pathogen risk. To mitigate this physics problem, we must engineer a controlled cross-ventilation protocol. The objective is to evacuate the water vapor without hemorrhaging the 400 BTUs of heat we worked so hard to capture. By deliberately leaving a 2-inch gap in the canopy's mechanical seal at the highest point near your head and creating a secondary 1-inch gap near the base of the mattress, we utilize the principles of thermal buoyancy to establish an automated microdraft. Warm, moist air naturally rises and exhausts through the superior vent, which in turn draws in a marginal volume of fresh, drier air from the inferior vent. The fractional thermal loss experienced from this microdraft is mathematically negligible compared to the catastrophic failure of wet insulation. Maintaining this system requires strict, daily operational discipline. Each morning of the blackout, you must conduct a brief micro-resilience audit of your sleeping quarters. Take a dry microfiber cloth and methodically wipe down the interior walls of the Mylar radiant barrier to eliminate any residual moisture droplets. Fold back your outer blankets for 15 to 20 minutes to allow the trapped fabrics to fully off-gas any trapped humidity. This clinical approach to hygiene guarantees that your shelter remains dry, safe, and optimally functional for as long as the municipal grid remains offline. Navigating an urban blackout is not about surviving the apocalypse. It is a methodical process of managing your environmental constraints. I want to hear about your specific apartment limitations, whether it is a strict landlord, a severe lack of square footage, or a highly restrictive budget, in the comments below so we can address them in future micro-resilience audits. Keep calm and stay safe.